we'd like to have a quick round of what did you notice and experience as an adult learner? So now we're moving out of classroom-specific strategies to the process of learning walks, the process of being in and out of each of these classrooms. And I'll start us off. One thing that I loved and was actually blown away by is what Lance said this morning about the notion of color coding and having it above your door, your level of comfort. Whether anybody come in anytime, come in, but have a little notice, oh, we need to talk first, I'm not sure if I'm into having anybody in my classroom at this moment. So this whole issue of if the game is in part, the game of human learning is in part about feedback, both giving it and receiving it, that we have to be cognizant ourselves of our level of comfort, not just giving it, but receiving it. And I think it's really neat to cause metacognition amongst teachers as well as students. So we're evaluating our own learning and making that public with our colleagues in a way that's not in any way putting anybody down, but it is being candid and clear with the goal that over time we want to have it so we no longer need the colors, that any classroom is open. And in fact, when we're hiring new teachers for our building, we would be explicit with them. This is the way we work together. And if you don't want to work in that manner, then this is not the school that you need to apply for, because this is the way we work together. Giving and receiving, we don't work in isolation. And we don't just talk about the work, we actually talk about the work in the presence of the work. I thought that was brilliant. I love seeing it. So just a validation for the school as a whole and for Lance and his leadership. So something else that your experience this morning, something that you found as a learner or you observed amongst your colleagues, that this overarching thing of TLT and one part of the L-ing together, as it were, the learning is learning walks. And so any comments, experiences, what'd you notice? Yes, great.
Hi.
And tell us your first name?
Trisha.
Trisha, have at it.
So as an observer, evaluator, I've had experience with starting with positive news, but today really affirmed for me how important it is to start with those affirmations. And it really caused me to focus more on that when I was observing as well, because I know in my experience as a teacher, it was always so negative, focused on what I didn't do. Right. I mean, I was a teacher for only 13 years, but...
It's a considerable amount of time.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't say only, yeah, good.
But that was my experience. I was never, ever happy with an evaluation just because I didn't get anything out of it. You know, it was positive, but not in the way that I was experiencing today. Positive feedback, just, yes. Affirmation for me. Thank you.
Got it, thanks. Well stated, good, yes. Can you tell us your name again?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, have at it, Lindsay.
I think that it was a lot less intimidating than I thought it was going to be, like going into the classrooms and with the immediate affirmations and what we were doing that was good, and what we were doing what people are doing that other teachers thought was good. That made it seem a lot less intimidating for me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. How about something else? Just what your experience was. Yeah, Tracy?
Yeah, I was just going to say that going in the second time, you got better. And so the more you do it, the more you get better, because you learn from the other people that you're talking to.
So the conversations, the feedback process becomes more explicit, more detailed, more robust. Yeah, as people get really comfortable with and realize it's really safe. I mean, we make a big thing for very understandable reasons of creating safety in the classroom so kids can take risks. That's equally true for us. Learning is learning. Learners are there's an emotional component, psychological component, skill and explicit knowledge component, because we're whole beings. We're just not intellectual beings. We're emotional beings as well. And so, yeah, creating that safety is really important. And yeah, I was blown away by, I guess for me, one of the really cool things was seeing Ross, who's a first-year teacher. First of all, that a first-year teacher would volunteer and say, yes, I'd love to have a learner on my team in my classroom. And one of the people validated him for, because it was very interactive, a lot going on, a lot of energy in the classroom, is that he used a simple procedure that I use with you guys, and probably all of us use a version of. That's the countdown. So rather than just interrupting him, quiet, right? We're 3, 2, so you only have a few seconds, so wrap it up. And then when you get down, boom, we stop. And he said, oh yeah, I learned that in my student teaching. They didn't teach me that at the university, right? Classroom management was not very explicitly dealt with. And I learned, and I thought, you know what? Just being in his classroom for half hour, 40 minutes, in terms of class management and engagement, he's after less than a year of teaching where I was after about a decade. Because I would argue in part, the community he's a part of that goes far beyond what happened in teacher preparation, starting with student teaching and then starting with being part of a learning community here that's not just a talk, what I call a BS community, which a lot of university is, with all due respect. This is the real deal. And I was just delightful to see a young teacher with skills like, it blows my mind where he and others like him will be in a decade. Particularly if he remains at a school like this that keeps opening up, where we are all, whatever the color is, that you can come in and out, where it's just part of routine, bringing video clips to the PLC, and we look about 6 or 7 minutes and look at our data, then have a conversation. I mean, that's just normal. Nobody's like, wow, this is just how we work together. Anyway, it leaves me very optimistic about our future, with all the reasons for pessimism, budgets and all that. This kind of stuff makes you think, you know what? We are an incredibly powerful profession, and it's a real honor to be a part of it. Yes?
So we felt the same way, myself and the East Lansing teachers who had an opportunity to go and watch Ashley teach, who is not a first-year teacher, she is an intern teacher.
Wow.
And it was really amazing that I think we were observing many of the same things that you were talking about, Kevin, in that the learning that happens when you're actually in the classroom, and what she must be learning from this teaching community, because it was just so clear to us how established the expectations and the procedures were in that classroom, and how smoothly things flowed, and we were just overwhelmed by her just willingness to bring us into that situation.
That's awesome. Yeah, why don't we give it up? I think that's definitely worthy of. Yes.